today, I'll step back, are Sarah Chen and Christina Dardarian. I did it. It's almost a rhyme. They're both from the class of 2016, and they are here to represent the tourism industry, and they have a few slides for you that they'll share. And just before we do that, I'd like you to know a little bit about them, and they'll tell you a little bit about them. But let's just start with a couple of things fast. Sarah, texting or talking?
Talking.
Christina, texting or talking?
Talking and FaceTime.
Ooh, okay. How about street smarts or book smarts?
Street smart.
Combination.
Okay.
But mostly book smart, personally.
So, are you in the profession you dreamed of when you were a child?
I am not.
What was that profession?
I thought I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay, there's still time. Christina?
I'm definitely not. I thought I was going to be a wedding planner. Definitely not a wedding planner.
I hope I'm not responsible for that decision, but could be. Yeah.
It was a great decision. So
good. So Sarah, if you want to take a minute to kind of walk us through what it is you do and
Sure.
kind of where you've been, those kinds of things, that would be great.
Sounds good. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Chen. I know that a lot of you are first years, but there's a mix of us here. I remember when I was sitting in your seats, to be honest, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to go into the hotel operations world. But since then, life has kind of taken me on a journey, and I've kind of had a bit of an unconventional career journey in the tourism world. So I wanted to share a little bit about that today. Thank you. So just giving you a glimpse of where it all started. I'm not going to walk through every single one of the bullet points, but I put them there just to highlight some of my biggest takeaways in each of these jobs. What I learned that really took me to the next step and allowed me to get to that next position. So when I was still a student here at Collins, I was a front desk agent at Pacific Palms Resort. You might know it as like that big building on top of the mountain. You see it everywhere in the 626. But that role really taught me how to communicate, it taught me customer service, and it helped me better understand the concepts that I was learning here. Because rather than just trying to memorize answers in a textbook, it made sense to me because I was actually doing the work when I was as a front desk agent and interacting with different departments at the hotel. But there was a part of me that was always a bit creative. I noticed that outside of school, I leaned towards creative projects. I liked to write. I liked to do watercolor, just creative things that really exercise and help me express myself. And I felt that marketing would be a good way to do that. During Collins, I also took that marketing class with Dr. Kwok, and it taught me more about what it was. And I was intrigued, and I really, really particularly enjoyed that class. So I thought, how could I get myself to a spot where I could do what I love and be in the industry that I love, which is hospitality, but mix that with marketing? And I know that from being a front desk agent, Marriott or Hilton wasn't going to take me as a marketer because I didn't have the experience. I needed a stepping stone. So that's what the next position was. It was the most random position. It was for a beauty shop in like a little plaza of a supermarket, but it gave me marketing skills under my belt. And then I graduated Collins right over there, and I thought it was time. I had the hotel management textbook knowledge and the experience, as well as some marketing, and I wanted to blend that together. So what I found was a hotel management group that was hiring for a marketing role. So first time learning about the world of hotel management groups, how they operated, learning about hotel reputation management online, and really just spearheading a lot of marketing initiatives. Next role. But the thing about that role was that I was kind of doing things, just floating off into space, figuring things out by myself. I didn't have a mentor in the company, so that's what I looked for in my next role. So I then went on to 24/7 Hotels, which is also a hotel management group. They're based in Southern California, but there I worked under the VP of marketing, and there were about 25 hotels in the property in the portfolio when I was working there. So I got to work with the hotel teams to manage their marketing content, to drive campaigns when they wanted more F&B revenue. So it was more of a strategic role, and there were some really fun creative projects that I'll share about in just a little bit. And then from there, I went to visit Anaheim and was introduced to the world of DMOs, or destination marketing organizations. So there I was able to be a bit more strategic, managing marketing strategy. So in this role, I don't know if any of you have been to events at the convention center, at the Anaheim Convention Center. They host cool ones like D23 if you're Disney fans, or if you're a gamer, they do like Riot games. But there, my role was to target meeting and convention planners to host their events in Anaheim or Orange County. So there were kind of two parts of it. How many of you are interested in event planning? That's a good amount of people. That's a lot of hands. So there's so much scope when it comes to event planning. So there were two parts of the meeting planners that I targeted. One part was the self-contained, which is when you're a meeting planner for hotels, a group that meets, eats, and sleeps in one venue. And then the other hand of it are conventions. These are like huge scale events with like tens and thousands of people. They're usually for not as much for the Smurf group, but more for the corporate, right? So as you can imagine, if let's say a big tech company or a financial company wants to hold an annual event for their employees, that's going to be maybe, I don't know, 15, 30,000 people if it's a global company. They need a large place to host everything, and that's what the convention center does. And the thing about those planners are that they actually work for that company. So they could be working for Bank of America or Salesforce, because these events are so large scale, it takes years and years to plan. So they actually have that event planner working for them in-house. So if you're looking for a route in event planning, that's something to think about as well. And then when I was at Visit Anaheim, I was running digital marketing campaigns targeting meeting planners and having them come to Anaheim. One of my vendors were Sojourn, so I was a customer, and they pulled me over. They pulled me to do marketing for their products. It's very tech, and it's so technical, and to be honest, the first 6 months, I was like, I don't understand what all of you are talking about. Please speak English to me. But my job currently is really to bring something that's really technical, and I'll make it make sense for our end customer, which is destinations or hotels or airlines. So that's kind of where I am now. And then just a few achievements or some fun things that I wanted to highlight in my career. When I was at 24/7 Hotels, we developed an F&B concept. We found that we were good on, our occupancy was pretty good, but the food and beverage revenue, we wanted to really increase that. And how many of you are familiar with the Moxie brands, like Marriott? It's like a cheeky, fun brand, right? When you check in, you're checking in at the bar, you get a free drink. It's a whole vibe. So, and Moxie Tempe was actually the first Moxie hotel to open in the United States. So it was really awesome to develop a really fun food and beverage concept around that. Another thing was during the pandemic, when no one was able to travel, I developed a sales tool for the Visit Anaheim sales team so that they could proactively sell the convention center, even when a time when people weren't traveling. And then one thing that I'm really grateful for was I had the opportunity to be named PCMA's 20 in their 20. PCMA, if you are meeting or looking to be a meeting planner, PCMA is the professional convention it's like a management association. So all the vendors, convention planners are all part of that. So it was just an honor to be named one of the members there. So that was a lot, but here are 3 takeaways that I wanted to share if there's three things I wanted to leave you with that I have learned in my career and I wish that I had learned sooner, one is that relationships open doors. I remember when I first went to my very first networking event. Oh my gosh, it was so intimidating, is it not? And being myself, I'm an introvert naturally, and it's pretty daunting walking into a group of people that you don't know. But I encourage you to do it regardless. Networking sounds intimidating, but think of it as making friends. It's essentially building connections, asking people about themselves, being curious about what they're passionate about. How did they get there? Where do they want to be in the future? And for those of you who haven't set up LinkedIn yet, I would also encourage that. Sometimes all it takes is a 15 minutes of one thing I did when I was job searching was I would just go on LinkedIn, right? We're in a digital world now. There are no boundaries. It's limitless. Search for someone in your dream career. Reach out to them. Ask for 15 minutes of their time, just to learn from them, learn from their experience, and always follow up and maintain a relationship. I would also say build a strong personal brand online. Don't be afraid to share your wins and engage intentionally and be authentic, right? If you do have LinkedIn, be mindful of what you're engaging with. Like, I get a lot of marketing memes on my LinkedIn page, but whatever you interact with, your network also sees, right? So you want to be representative of who you are and what you believe in, and so just engage intentionally and authentically. The last thing is be proactive. I feel like this was one of the things that really helped me secure some of the roles that I was in. Show up with a solution always, not the problem, right? If your boss is talking to you, and rather than saying, I can't do it, say, I can't do it now, but let's try next week. Or I can't do this, but here's a workaround, right? So always try to be proactive and find solutions that work. And be prepared. Whenever let's say you're in a future interview or you're meeting with someone important, you want to make sure that you have already done your research, right? Show them that you want it. I think that's something that will make you stand out apart from anybody else, is do as much research on the company as you can if you're in a future interview. Show them that you want it more than anybody else in that room, because you've dug really deep and you've done your research, extensive research, and you can ask smart questions and respond to answers that way. So that's all I wanted to share. I hope some of it was helpful. But the next slide is just, oh, there you go. There you go. I'm going to pass it off to Christina. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Safarian Dardarian, class of 2016, and I'm so happy to be home. Just so I can gauge, who are our first and second years? Cool. Third and fourth, transfers, awesome, perfect. Okay. So as I mentioned, graduated in 2016 with my hospitality degree and an emphasis in event management, because as I mentioned at the time, I thought I was going to be a wedding planner. And I very quickly after graduating realized that that is not the path for me. And that was the best decision, that was the best thing that could have happened. So don't be afraid of changing your mind, doing the scary thing, going the different routes. It's all going to work out, and everything that's meant to happen to you is going to happen. While I was here on site, I was an ambassador for 2 years. I was also vice president of ASEP, which was the Association of Student Event Planners. And I was also an Eta Sigma Delta member. So I mention all of these because college will give you what you will receive, right? If you just come to classes and do the homework, I really don't think you're going to get the full experience. And I know I'm talking to the wrong crowd because you all are here. This is the first step, is just showing up, being present, and obtaining all of the information that you possibly can because this is what differentiates Collins College from all of the other schools that you have the opportunity to go to. So take advantage of it. And just some of my favorite classes while I was here, try to take as many electives as you can. In high school, I really didn't like math, and I ended up loving our cost control class and our finance class, and then of course our beer and culture class. Who other of your friends from high school have the opportunity to take these courses? It's really cool. Take advantage of them. Oh, I forgot to mention, this was the Marriott building pillar. Isn't that cool? We were here when it got built.
Building 80.
Yeah. So while I was here, I said yes to everything. Every scholarship opportunity, every volunteer opportunity, every single thing that was presented, even if I didn't have some sort of affinity towards it, I just tried it out. And that opened doors to me to go to San Francisco on a scholarship, to go to New York City for the hotel and restaurant show at the Javits Center, and then eventually go to Dallas for my Marriott interview, which I ended up working for after graduating from college. So no goal is too big, no dream is too wide. Really take advantage of every opportunity, and I'll tell you, all of us think that there are all of these people applying, and we might not be totally qualified for a scholarship or for a position. You have to believe in yourselves, and you have to be your number one supporter. Do it, and you'll never know what's going to happen. I really firmly believe in that. And then just to round out my college experience, not all of my contributions were up the hill. I was also involved down the hill. I was president of the Armenian Students Association, which really was really important to me. And then I was also a member of Chi Omega, one of the sororities down the hill. So that was just really fun and rounded out my experience here at Cal Poly. So as I mentioned, I graduated from Collins and I started my career with Marriott, which, looking back 8-9 years ago, I really thought our only options were to go into a hotel training program, a restaurant training program, or to find an event management company and work with them as a coordinator. It's not the case, but it is a really good way to get all of the experience that you need to find exactly what you're passionate about. So one of my favorite quotes I like to live by is, learn the rules properly so you can break them. No, learn the rules carefully so you can break them properly. Right. Carolina was here when I used to get in trouble for all of my outfits at the business professional event. But now, right, I'm still dressed appropriately, but I have my own individual style, and that's what my company, that's what my leaders, and that's what my clients appreciate about me. I'm able to express myself and express who I am carefully and properly. So I started up with Voyager, which is Marriott's global development program. I was at Renaissance LAX. If anyone has been in the LAX area, as a 22-year-old girl with rose-colored glasses on, this was a very interesting experience. Okay? I was at the front desk past midnight. I was doing our MOD shift, our manager on duty shift, just out of college, overnight. It really taught me and gave me the foundation and the confidence that I needed to go through the rest of my career. So I learned everything at the front desk, and as you can imagine, in a hotel, when you're working a front desk, when you're working housekeeping, and you're in the operations world, you really work with every single department and learn exactly what it is that you do like and you don't like. So even if a job doesn't sound 100% appealing to you, do it. Do the hard things, get the experience, and figure out exactly what it is that you want to do. I promise you're never going to regret it. The Voyage program was a year to a year and a half. So once that was done, I was presented the opportunity to be a sales coordinator. Do we have time for a quick story? Yeah. Okay, cool. So when I was at Collins College, I applied to the Park Scholarship, which is the Hotel and Restaurant Foundation Scholarship. And there is a board on the committee, and they look at every single application, and they decide who receives the scholarship funds and who doesn't. So while I was at the scholarship award dinner, I met with one of the committee members who was a human resources leader here in the LA market. So we got along really well. I sent him an email after after meeting him. It was really great to meet you. I hope I see you again. A couple of years later, I'm well into my career, and now it's time for me to apply to a job after my development program. So I'm applying to a bunch of jobs, and right when this is happening, Marriott acquires Starwood. Okay, so now we have no idea what's going to go happen. No idea if these jobs are available. For background, Renaissance was a part of Marriott, W was a part of Starwood. So they're now one company. So I'm applying to the position, and I get to my W interview. Who is my interviewee? The committee member from the Heart Scholarship. We already had the relationship. He already knew I was a hard worker in school, and I got the job as a sales coordinator. And then when it was time for my promotion, I didn't think I was, I had the most experience, but I still applied, and he knew my work ethic, and I got the promotion. All of that to say, apply, put yourself in every room that you can get into. You never know how it's going to manifest in the future. A few years after I was at W, I had the opportunity to open the Times Square Edition Hotel, which is this stunning property right here in the middle of Times Square, New York City. This was never in my bingo card, y'all. I had no anticipation to move to New York. I had no desire, really, but you can't really say no to this property. It really was like the property in the portfolio, and I knew that this was going to skyrocket my career. So I packed my bags within a month, and I moved to New York in 2019. At all of my hotels, I've had the privilege of welcoming Collins College students for tours and Q&A. So it's been a really awesome opportunity to be on the other side. This is some of our students in New York at our hotel. So really just, again, these are all tours, and now we have that relationship with the students. I know them in the future too. I can, that the cycle goes on. And then, as we know, in 2020, the pandemic hit, and no one was traveling to large cities. So I took that opportunity to take a step back from work and go back to school. If you told me while I was at Collins that I was going to go back to school for a business degree, I would have actually laughed at you. I would have never believed it. But because of the career that I had chosen, and because that I have gotten into the sales role and the sales path instead of event planning, this was going to be the best option for me. So I got my MBA from Pepperdine while I took a break from work, but this was a part-time role, so it gave me the opportunity to go back to work when I was ready to. And when that happened, I got recruited to a new company by the name of PS, and this is just the most exceptional, amazing, beautiful company that I can ever think of. I can't say more amazing things about it. So what I do currently, y'all, is I am a membership and strategic partnerships manager for PS. We used to previously be called the Private Suite, and we're a private luxury terminal at LAX. So if you think about your going around LAX, you will never, more likely than not, you won't see celebrities there anymore because we solved the paparazzi issue at LAX. So we offer our members a backdoor experience to their flights by having TSA and customs, food and beverage outlets, massages, haircuts, manicures, driving services to and from their home on private property, which is just amazing. Could you ever believe doing TSA off-site from the airport or clearing customs outside of the airport? It's really amazing, and I'm so proud to be a part of this company. So now my current job, I'm doing confidently and I can do because of all the experience that I had in a large company. I knew that Marriott was going to give me the foundation and the resources and the knowledge to apply to a smaller company where I could make a bigger impact, where I could make more decisions because there aren't as many decision makers in the line. So I found my home in a smaller, more startup vibe, which I had no idea even existed while I was at Collins College. So this is the experience. We drive all of our members up to the aircraft, and then they board through the Jeffrey stairs. And we had the opportunity to do it on our trip. Actually, this is our honeymoon to Australia. So coming back, we cleared customs. It was great. So please, if you take anything from me, is my email address and my LinkedIn. Use us as a resource. There is no other school that's going to give you the tools and the network that you need to succeed in the hospitality industry. I wish you the best of luck, and I'm excited to speak with all of you.
So now we're going to take a few minutes, and I'm going to ask them a couple questions, which should give you a little bit of time to get your questions ready. So because I fumbled this in the dining room the other day, how many people already know they have a question to ask? Wow. Okay. Let me show you how it's done. Okay. There is off. They haven't played Chromecast, right? Perhaps. I'm known to put you on the spot. What is it that you said, Sarah? Be prepared. Do your homework. Do I sound like a professor? Yeah. So on version 3, you will come, everybody ready, because you will know who's going to be speaking in a bit. Oh, wait, you knew. Did you know how fabulous they were going to be before they got here? Oh, you assumed. That's why you're here. Okay. Do you have a question already?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I just shared with horse training.
No, I haven't. Never been through horse training. Are you interested in horse training?
No, because I'm working at a hotel and I did labor every day. And I would like, because right now we already have horse training or horse experiencing. And I wanted to know if you guys also teach about that technology courses.
Oh, that's a question for me. I do not believe that I know they reference horse training, but we don't use any outside training in our courses. It's more about managing that process, and horse would be one of many that the faculty member might offer. There's several faculty in the room. If you have a different sense of it, please speak up. Good? It is excellent training.
I have 2 questions for both of you guys. Would you say that, do you guys do internships at all?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, while I was at Cal Poly, I really took every opportunity, whether it was volunteer work, whether it was internships. So, while I was in college, I was mostly interning for event planning and experiential marketing companies because that's what I thought I wanted to do. And then I did one hotel internship with Marriott as well that kind of changed my mind. So, do you have a specific question about internships?
I think you want to know if your company offers them as well.
Like the Disney? Do you know?
Yes, so Marriott offers internships. We are a smaller company. We have usually 1 or 2 interns that come in each year. But yes, and the only way that you're going to find those internships is by proactively reaching out and looking for job applications, looking for different postings, and doing your homework. But a lot of companies offer them.
Okay, sure.
I agree. I didn't do internships specifically, but I did part-time jobs that during my time here as a student, that kind of gave me that stepping stone. But yes, 100%, all the companies that I've been with, especially Visit Anaheim, if you want to go into more of like a broader destination, like tourism world, we absolutely have internship opportunities.
Second question?
I forgot it.
Okay. Okay. One more, and then I'll ask a couple.
I have a question for Christina. Your job, you know, said there's you know, said there's 1 or 2 internships. Do you have to be like closer to graduation or like how old you're going to be?
particularly, as long as you're over 18. We have one, it's typically like a marketing internship. So if you're interested, then we can talk. It's usually a summer internship.
For Christina, say, double majoring help at all? Going back to,
She didn't double major.
oh, you did?
She had an emphasis in events. And what was your emphasis?
I was hotels.
So basically, that's that core group of electives that you take that then leads to it. And several people do double down in that area if they plan properly, which James and Jasmine make very easy. Okay. But would you say something about your emphasis that was different, important? Did it feed a particular decision you made when you left? I think maybe, how'd you choose it? Okay, you chose it because you were interested in that area.
Yeah, so I chose the event emphasis because, as I mentioned again, I wanted to be an event planner. And I thought it was really cool to be a part of events that the university was hosting. We were involved in the planning of the graduation commencement ceremonies. We were involved in a fair that took place down the hill. So we really got a firsthand experience with the logistics and planning that goes on behind the scenes. So it gave me a really holistic view on event planning to determine whether or not this was the right decision for me. And that's not just unique to the event emphasis. We do the same with the hotels and we do the same with the restaurants. So it really gives you experience before you've made that commitment in the real world.
Yeah, 100% agree. I remember going down the hotel path. I remember cleaning the rooms at Kellogg and the wiping and getting the hairs out of the floor. But you know, when I was working at the front desk, it really helped me to appreciate the different departments and how everyone works as a team together. And for me, I knew that I didn't want to go into operations forever from my experience, but I knew that I loved the industry. It helped me to really understand what went into it. And so that's why I'm still in tourism today.
Sarah and Christina, thank you so much for coming out. My question, because you both have a hotel operations background, how do you think, it's kind of two-part, how do you think that's influenced your time now leading teams relevant to crafting guest experience? What has been your favorite opportunity to showcase an exceptional guest experience?
Sure.
So I learned so much in hotels. What's your name? Andrew. I learned so much in hotels, Andrew. And when I made the decision to downsize to a smaller company, I knew that I was taking all of that knowledge and able to apply it much quicker and much broader in a smaller company. So with a startup kind of feel of being in a small company, you have a lot more influence and you're able to, work with executive leadership. Like I have a direct line of access to all of my VPs and all of my CEO, which means that my thoughts and my ideas are much quicker to be rolled out than they would in a larger company, right? So when we train new hires at PS, you have to understand that we are working with ultra high net worth individuals. Like these people are paying upwards of $5,000 for a single reservation, for a 3-hour reservation, just to avoid the public terminal. These are the most influential people in the entire world. So it's really important to us to understand who our guest is and how they appreciate and how they value their time. So if that means, sending out a kind of a questionnaire beforehand so we know their favorite snacks, their favorite drinks, what their kids' birthdays are and how old they are, their pet's name, we have all of that information ahead of time. And then as a company, we stay true to our values, which is safety, security, and creating the best airport experience in the entire world. So that comes to life by understanding our customer, right? If we know that our customer does not want to be talked to at all while they're there because they're on tour and their lungs are just defeated, we leave them alone. But if we have a little chatterbox at the bar, then our bartenders are talking to them the entire time that they're there. So it's really just understanding what they're there to do. With that said, we have an exceptional hospitality team on site. So we create cakes for them, we decorate the suites for them when they're there, and then we anticipate, they like to board before everybody else, they like to board after everyone else. We have all of these notes in their profile so we can execute exactly what we've promised to them.
Love that. Very customized experience
Exactly.
per person. Love it. For me, when I was working at the front desk, you were the first line, right? And they say it's so important because you're the first, you make the first impression, and that first impression is lasting. But one thing that I noticed when I was working there was that I thought, wait, the guest experience actually starts a little bit before you they step into the hotel, right? Because in the stages of dreaming, planning, or booking, it has already started and starts with marketing. So I feel that in having talked to these guests at the hotel and being able to hear their stories and their feedback, that made me that much stronger of a travel marketer because I could understand their pain points, what they were looking for, information they wanted to see, how they wanted to be marketed to when I worked at the hotel management groups. And even at Visit Anaheim, right, my goal was events, convention, and meeting planners. But their goal is to drive their attendees. And again, it goes back to that guest experience of how can we make our destination a place that is welcome to everybody, that has seamless transportation, and that is just a place that people want to go to. So that really helped my career there.
So give me 1 minute, and then I would like you each to talk about what your days or your week looks like, because I think they're very disparate. And I think that, maybe you came to the place where you are because you had personal work-life balance plans or things of that nature. So if you kind of speak to it in the ecosystem of work-life balance and why this schedule works for you, that would be wonderful.
Sure, absolutely. So currently, I'm at Sojourn, which is a travel marketing company. So what we do is we do smart targeting. Let's say you're planning a trip to like Chicago and you start searching up information. We kind of we capture those intent signals, so we serve you ads that you would want to see. Not just ads in the wild, but things that are personalized to you. So all of it's very digital. So currently I work from home, and this is my first position ever fully working from home. I will say I do miss the face-to-face and seeing the people. I do attend occasional trade shows throughout the year, as well as meetings, in-person meetings with my team at corporate offices. But I do appreciate the work from home balance and being able to have more flexibility in my schedule. I recently got married too, so it's like there's so much more to manage, right? And it's nice to have that flexibility. But I will say that I think whether or not you're working from home or wherever your office is, those boundaries are really set by you. Yes, work-life balance is so important. And honestly, I think working from home makes it even harder because the place that I play and rest is the same place that I work. So I really need to be mindful every day of, okay, what time is it? It's 5:30, or I think it's time to wrap it up. All right, or being able to prioritize my time well so that I can set time aside for my personal life as well. But I would say my day-to-day, it's a lot of supporting the sales team in their goals and allowing them to capture business from destination marketing organizations all over the world. So we've worked with even tourism boards from Italy, Spain, like Norway, and it's just really fun being able to support that through digital marketing.
So I think with any transition in your life, there's going to be like an acclimation period, right? Most of you are either first years or transfer students. Coming to Cal Poly Pomona was a big step that you had to take, and it's tough at first, and then you find your rhythm, right? So, and you create that rhythm believe in yourself and have the confidence in yourselves to know that you're going to be able to do it, and you're going to create kind of that journey and those parameters for yourself. So for me, similar to Sarah, you know, I block off my calendar after 5 o'clock, so I don't get meetings scheduled. I have time to devote to what I find valuable and what I'm passionate about, and that keeps me going. I also work a hybrid role, so I'm in the office about 3 days a week, and then I'm working from home the other 2 days, which is totally opposite to what my job at the hotel entailed. I was always at the hotel, whether it was conducting site tours for prospective clients, whether it was, you know, in the office during regular business hours, hosting dinners for clients to show them our spaces. It really took a lot of time out of my personal schedule, and that was totally fine because I was able to give more of myself to my career and really build that foundation. Now I'm in a very different stage in my life, and I need to, you know, take a step back and focus on my personal obligations. But again, you know, your schedule and your the needs of, you know, people around you and yourself are constantly changing, and you'll navigate it. So a career in hospitality, even though our operations are typically, you know, 24 hours or long hours, you will find your grounding, and you will have a life outside of your work.
Having seen where Christina had to suffer through client dinners, it was not tough duty. Gorgeous place, gorgeous place.
Thank you.
Georgie. Last question, unless somebody has there's one more. Okay.
If you asked me while I was doing it, it was tough. Now, on the other side, it only propelled my career because now my executive leadership believes in my capabilities in making, you know, forecasting and helping out with the budget. You know, the things that are really valuable and important to the business is how much money we're making at the end of the day, right? So to create being an asset, to market myself as an asset to the company has only been valuable. I don't regret it at all.
Okay, I can't tell time, so there's plenty of time for questions. So I'll go up, and then we'll have about 15 minutes, but I want to say before we start the Q&A, we want a really good group photo this time. Okay, we lost a bunch of you, so at 12:40, they're going to flip and stand by you, and we're going to all come in together and take a group photo because we're trying to demonstrate that Collins is the only place to go to college here if you are. Okay, so take the floor.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Are you speaking about ourselves personally or with the companies? I don't know. And I think that's okay because 3.5 years ago, I had no idea what PS was. And now I'm so happy in the company that I'm working for. So I currently, if you ask me, I would like to continue to grow within the company that I'm in because I have the flexibility to, you know, be a really committed employee while I'm at work and also have my personal life outside of work. But who knows what the next 5-10 years brings.
Same. I don't know. And exactly what I agree with you, right? Every single step of my job was a learning experience for me to, number one, identify what my strengths are and identify what I liked, right? So with each stepping stone, that took me closer and closer to where I want to be. And sometimes that next stepping stone is a little uncomfortable because you don't have all the answers, and that's completely okay. But I mean, I want to continue in the tech industry for now. It's a learning curve for me, but I've learned so much, and being able to create better experiences for travelers around the world. But that's where I am now.
Did they answer both parts well enough? Okay.
I'm so glad that you brought up growth. Being that you're both extremely talented young professionals that are winning, what does growth look like for you both?
What are you going to do to make sure you continue to grow, maybe?
Yeah. So, Sarah and I both worked in operations. We were both on property for a while, and now our jobs have shifted a little bit more. So speaking for myself, growth is really customer acquisition and retention. Like that's what my world is all about, is making sure that people know about PS, try PS, and to continue using PS. So the larger our footprint is, the better I am at my job. So whether that means, going to networking events, spending more time sourcing new clients, or meeting with clients when they're at PS to make sure that they know everything that's available to them so that they keep coming back and continue to grow the company. That's what I'm really focused on right now. We're a really small company. I went from close to 7,000 hotels with Marriott, and now we have 2 locations with PS. We're at LAX and we're at Atlanta Hartsfield. So growth for us is physical growth, opening Dallas, Fort Worth next year, Miami in 2 years, which is really cool to be a part of the expansion process, something that I wouldn't be able to do at a larger company.
And I'll answer that in 2 parts. One way for our customers, for me to grow in my company is, I think, customer education. I think there's a lot of education opportunities for destination marketing organizations. A lot of them are still doing things a little bit of a traditional way, and so it's kind of breaking that mindset and having opportunities to educate them. And my role currently, again, it's to create something complex and technical and make it just simple. Here are your pain points, and this is why you need it. So being able to kind of propel them into being more innovative with their marketing strategies. But for myself, like I mentioned, this role is still a learning opportunity for me. So currently, I'm taking a certification in product marketing that will help me be able to get a better foundation of my skill set and to be able to do my job even better.
What have been some of your biggest challenges within the industry, and what did you do to overcome that?
Besides the pandemic.
That's where my mind went to at first.
At the end of the day, regardless of what segment you're in the hospitality industry, you're going to be serving guests, right? So with that, being able to anticipate the needs of your customers and your leaders and doing it really effortlessly and eloquently is probably the hardest but most rewarding part of being in the hospitality industry. As I mentioned, being in the luxury space specifically, clients value very different things. So it's not just a one-stop shop for every single guest that walks in and out of your property. You really have to take the time, be an active listener, and understand why it is that they're there and cater to that. Not just, okay, this is what worked with the last person, this is what's going to work with the next. So you always have to be on, and that's the best part and also the hardest part of being in hospitality.
Yep. I know we said not to talk about the pandemic, but I think but working for a destination marketing organization, if you recall, Disneyland shut down for like the 3rd time in history, right? And so nobody was coming to the destination. But I think what that taught us, I'm not going to focus on the doom and gloom. I'm going to focus on what helped us redeem ourselves, was being proactive. I think having the industry go through that really propelled the industry a lot further along, because we needed to find solutions to problems that we never even thought were going to be a problem. And so I think just with anything at all, I think being proactive in finding solutions, finding what works, and being okay with being a little uncomfortable sometimes, if it means that it will help you get to that next step.
Good position.
Hang on one second, I'm just gonna come this way, if that's okay.
So you both have come a long way. How do you know, or how much time do you give yourself before you move up? You have a lot of different jobs. Like, how do you know if you're ready to move up? A lot of the time where we work at, there's a lot to learn.
Right.
How did you guys know if you're ready to move up or change a different location or job?
I will say that more towards the beginning of my career, you could see that I had a lot of different positions and I hopped around a lot because I wanted to find out what I liked to do. So, and I truly feel that once you graduate, or even now with internships, there is no better time to figure that out than now. The earlier, the better, right? The more you can experience, the more you can understand where your strengths are, what you're passionate about, and what you want to lean towards. For myself, I gave myself just minimum at least a year in a job to fully understand the full scope of it, see the goods and bads, and really assess the pros and cons before I moved on to something else. Personally, for me, whenever I started looking for something else, when I felt like I had kind of outgrown the roles and responsibilities, again, there is always more to learn. But when I have a good handle on this and I'm ready for a new challenge, that was when I gave myself the okay to go ahead and search for something new.
I totally agree with your response, Sarah. You'll know once you've had a good grasp and a good understanding of your role, you'll kind of know you're the best person to make that decision for yourself.
One more in the back.
Since you guys have worked with companies, have you ever felt like burnt out and how?
Yeah, it's inevitable. I think we work in an industry where the operation continues, but it's important to have those boundaries and build that, the routine of giving yourself that personal time, like we had just discussed. Um, and maybe taking a step back from a project or asking for help from a different department or a different team member. Maybe it's taking a day off and having a personal day to do the things that fuel you and give you that energy.
Can I interject? Do either of you use apps or something to kind of help with your workflow? Is there technology that's really changed how you work that you could offer them as something they should be learning here that will help them be more efficient and manage their time and face that burnout situation?
Yeah, so if anyone is interested in going into sales within the hospitality industry, I really encourage you to hone in on your data and analytics skills, really understand how to run reports, whether it's through Excel, mining through Excel, finding data that you need, really getting down to where your customers are coming from and how you can find more of them, right? So the data, the running the reports, regardless of if you're using Salesforce or a different tool, learning how to use that sales tool. And then of course there's like the customer facing component of it. So really getting in touch with, how you can maximize using Outlook efficiently or using ChatGPT when it comes into play, whether that's asking a really general question about, the travel landscape all around the world and where people from Los Angeles are traveling out to, or how to respond to a difficult email. Really just making the most use out of the tools that you're using. So during COVID, I really took a lot of time to take LinkedIn learning classes. So I learned all about all of the things that Outlook can do for me and everything that Excel can do for me. And now I use it every single day.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming. Really enjoying this series. But my question is, as you learn from your personal journey, you had a lot of
Yeah, I think that's a great question. For myself, I'm not someone who can wing something. I wish I was. I wish if you have the skill set to stand up here and be able to just present without preparing, props to you. I'm not the kind of person who was able to do that. So I'm going back to one of my points of being prepared. There's always anxiety and uncertainty of looking for the next step in your career, right? Because there's just so much unknown, but that's okay and that's normal. But what helped me overcome some of that unsureness or anxiety is showing up prepared, is making sure that I've done enough research so I can show up confidently. Even if I don't have all the answers, that's okay. I've done enough research and done research on the company, on maybe the person who's interviewing me, to make sure that I can respond well and I can respond in a way that fits, aligns with what they're looking for.
Yeah, definitely being prepared has made me more confident in myself. You know, having the information to engage in a conversation with the person that you're speaking with, it really boosts your confidence and it shines through. And just to take a step back, do it. Just do the hard thing. Do the thing that you didn't anticipate doing. Show up, and you're gonna see the fruit of your labor. That's not to say that what you're not doing right now is not hard. I think your Collins College experience is so valuable because you have so many different opportunities presented to you. You don't know almost like how to prioritize how to spend your time. You'll find it, but that starts with just trying a little bit of everything and then slowly finding where your niche is.
Kind of backtracking on that discussion about change. When you enter a new job, whether it's your first or you're like switching, do you have any advice on how to quickly adapt to the environment?
For myself, I give myself a lot of grace in that area. So whenever I start a new role, it is going to be uncomfortable and there's uncertainty because number one, it's a new company. You're under a new boss, so you have to learn their preferences, their communication styles. You're learning everyone around you, right? The teams and the people that you'll be collaborating with, what are their styles? How do they work together? So I give myself 6 months at a role to really get more in tune with the flow before I feel like, okay, I have a good enough foundation.
And once you give yourself that time, I think it's really important to build trust with your direct leader because they're going to have so much influence on your future, right? So build that really good relationship, really strong relationship, and see what their problems are. You know, I find that when I make the most impact in a role, it's because I made my boss's life a little bit easier. So find out what they're really working on, what they're struggling with, and try to help them because that's what's going to propel your career to the next step.
This question is geared a little bit more towards Sarah, because I know earlier you mentioned that you're very creative person, but both of you can feel free to answer. I was just wondering, what are some of your favorite ways to apply creativity?
That's a really great question. I think in marketing, that's like, it's just kind of infused in marketing, right? Whether you're copywriting, whether you are telling the story through video, through ads, through design, all of that is in there. And essentially, marketing is storytelling. It's storytelling in a way that resonates with your end customer, right? Or your audience member. So kind of just thinking outside the box and finding ways to stand out amongst the crowd in creative ways.
Yeah. So being in a small company, creativity plays a huge role because there are really no barriers to what we can do. We can really just trial everything and see if it works. So one way that we found to bring in new clients to PS is by doing experiential events. So hosting events, bringing in and inviting people that we think could be our customers and just speaking with them while they're enjoying a dinner, a glass of wine. Maybe we have some like gaming tables. Sometimes they'll be playing blackjack, and the winner gets a prize to come and visit us. We know that our guest list is curated and qualified. They're having fun instead of having like a targeted ad on Instagram. So last year, for example, my friend over there at the Mayborn, we hosted a series of cocktail hours from 1 to 4 because all of the entertainment talent agencies are centered in Beverly Hills, and we know that they have summer Fridays. So they get off at 1 o'clock every day, every Friday. So we hosted cocktail hours for them to come out, hang out with them in a location that they think is cool, that everyone thinks is like they would go to anyway. And we branded it with PS. We had raffle prizes, we had a gelato truck, and then it was just a fun little start to their weekend. And now all of their clients are buzzing about PS. So, the opportunities are endless.
This question is more geared toward Christina, but oh, sorry. So as someone who currently holds a lot of like leadership roles in clubs both up and down the hill, how would you say you were able to prioritize everything, get everything done to the best of your ability while juggling everything? And then, how did you ever have a chance to use the networking through the different clubs that you were in during your career after?
Yeah, so I think what helped me while I was at Cal Poly and at Collins College was finding the group of people that was really like-minded, because I didn't want to be kind of the odd one out with my friends who was constantly in meetings while they were just hanging out. I really wanted to find a group of people that I enjoyed hanging out with, that I found friendships in, that we could also develop our professional skills with too. So that way it didn't feel as much of a, you know, responsibility as it was just, pursuing my passion. So finding your people, which is just going to happen organically through the teamwork that you do, through all of the different classes that you have. Down the hill, a lot of students are still Collins students. So encouraging them to just come to that meeting. Do you still have U hour? U hour? Yeah.
You're in it.
Yeah. Do the U hour meeting, and just explore. So it's tough sometimes, but again, it's so worth it. And then you asked the question about using that network for my professional career. So, there are a lot of different students at the Collins College, some who are working part-time, some who are working full-time. I was one of the students who was doing internships consistently, and I was really applying all of my focus at school. So I had the opportunity to hold a lot of leadership positions, and those were the questions that I referred to, and those were the experiences that I referred to during my interviews with prospective roles and positions in my professional career that made them, believe in my capabilities. So your leadership skills, your operational and execution skills, they're all transferable. Just because you haven't worked in a hotel doesn't mean you don't know how to apply those skills to your hotel job in a couple of years.
Yeah. We have a question from somebody on the live stream. That do you feel that opportunities are the same for those who are disabled and or neurodiverse? What have you seen or witnessed as a first year?
I don't know if I can answer that too much because I've never been in a hiring role. But we, at all of the positions that I've worked at, it's a little bit, it's challenging. It's challenging. So, but you'll find what you can do, whether that's in an administrative position, supporting the operations team or working with the sales teams. I can't speak to it personally, but we have had multiple colleagues in all of the hotels that I've worked in with different needs that have been very successful in what they do.
Yeah. I have a similar answer to I've never been in a hiring role, but I do appreciate that. I think overall the industry is being more mindful of that. Recently, I was in Tampa Bay for a meeting, and the front desk agent who checked me in was in a wheelchair, and she was just phenomenal. She was like the sweetest and offered a really, really awesome check-in experience and a welcome for me into the destination. So I think despite maybe having some different needs, I think lean into your strengths and see what areas you do excel, and lean into that.
Last question.
Yes, so speaking, so my company has really cool capabilities in drawing the travelers that a destination wants. So you mentioned over tourism. So one of the things that we can do is sustainable tourism, is rather than having everybody go to that really hot spot and just overcrowding, we can serve ads and draw people and drive people into the destination to areas that are not as crowded, or people who want to be a bit more mindful and sustainable when they travel. We have the capability to do that. So I think, again, it's kind of just, it's not a cookie cutter answer. It's really just seeing what the customer needs and personalizing your solutions to that.
I can't stand to not let you ask your question. Have to ask.
Have you ever have done your own business that you work in someone else you have great experience?
I mean, as we mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we don't know what the future holds for us. I personally don't think it's totally off the table. I could always, have some sort of consulting firm or open up a small business for myself. I've thought about it, but who knows, but at the end of the day, with all the work experience that we've obtained and the background that you've gotten from the Collins College with the business acumen and the hands-on operational experience, you're totally equipped with doing it if that's something that you're interested in.
I agree as well. Nothing's off the table right now, and I have thought about what if I were to open like a consulting firm that would specialize in marketing for like meeting or convention planners, like a very niche skill. But again, I'm kind of just taking it by the day and just seeing what the future holds for me.
Please help me thank them for a wonderful session.